Yeah, hi, Srinath Kopa here. I'm the Vice President here in Prolim, managing the engineering, IoT, and the PLM practice. I'm actually based in India, and I've done several deployments of Teamcenter and digitalization across product development, product manufacturing, and product vendor development and supply chain. Okay, so that's been my background across
And
multiple
Srinath comes to us
industries.
from Siemens, by the way.
Right, I spent almost 90% of my career with Siemens before coming to Prolim. So that's been my background as a consultant. I used to be in the Midwest for a long time, working with a lot of manufacturing companies in the core areas of Michigan to, I would say, the Kentucky belt.
And then Srinath V, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. This is Srinath Vajjala, PLM Practice Manager. I'm looking after all the PLM projects in Prolim. I'm coming up with more than 20 years experience in PLM, starting with UG development and then moved on to IMAN V5 and then PLM, Unified Architectures. I've been involved in implementations at many large customers. Teamcenter vanilla implementations, Teamcenter, almost all the modules of Teamcenter, including integrations, CAD, and as well as ERP integrations.
Thanks,
That's in
Srinath.
short about me. Yeah.
And Srinath is a local out of the Cincinnati office, so he's a local resource for us. And I believe you guys have met Prabhat and Arun, if that's accurate.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so, John, if you don't mind, if you want to kind of give an overview of yourself, I don't think we've met you before.
Sure. John Knust, the Director of Product Engineering for Kimball. Here recently in August, we kind of combined our teams. We had resources kind of by brand, and now they're all combined. So I've been with Kimball International for 37 years. So, and in a lot of different roles, including some roles that dealt pretty heavily with IT projects, but primarily in the engineering realm. Also involved quite a bit with FIFMA, which is the industry trade organization, as far as writing the standards around testing. And been quite involved with Solid Edge, ideas to Solid Edge, Teamcenter, Metaphase, the Teamcenter, you name it, Copix to SAP. I spent way too much time with Julian Houghton over the years, but it's for the most part been good.
I've actually rubbed off on it. You wouldn't believe the rough spots.
All those good qualities I have come from Julian, I think.
You're a lucky man then.
Yeah.
So nice to meet you, John. So just to kind of give you a quick overview of myself, my name is Justin DeRue, client advisor here at Prolim. Been here for about 3.5 years. I'm based out of our Michigan office, and I work with Julian and his team pretty closely on the Solid Edge license and anything they need there, any support. So nice to meet you. So for time's sakes, I think we'll skip a couple of the other guys because we're running pretty late here, 12 minutes already. So I think we put together some slides. We wanted to kind of refresh our visit from over the summer we had on the SAP integration and then answer any questions you guys have. So I think Prabhat, go ahead, Julian. Yeah.
Before you start, let me take 1 minute or 30 seconds to a minute. So just to kind of level set on our side is that I did have a conversation with Prolim last summer, and I got some information on the connector, SAP to Teamcenter connector, and including licensing costs at that point in time and some other pieces of information. But the goal here today, and maybe if we may have some follow-up sessions, is really to peel this onion back to see if this has benefit to Kimball International, to help John's team specifically. John is the business owner of our applications, so we're going to lean real heavily on John. And Sam Johnson, I invited him too. He's not here either, but between them two, they'll be our point persons on the business side. So we're going to peel this onion away. You guys ask all the questions you want. I did ask Prolim to change, I'm hoping they did, but to spend very little time on licensing, if it any, because I want us to talk through all the requirements and let that drive into the licensing. You know, I'm sure they've got their presentation built, so I'm gonna turn it back over to you guys now.
Thanks, Jillian. No pressure.
No pressure.
So, Prabhat, if you want to go ahead and pull up the presentation and we can get started.
Yeah, sure, Jesse.
Thank you.
So my screen is visible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So as previously also we discussed this point that Teamcenter can connect with SAP and SAP S/4HANA both. And actually what is the case here that Siemens has created the connector and that got it certified from SAP itself to prove that this connector is appropriate to connect Teamcenter with SAP. And then it's quite effective, and then most of the times not much efforts are required. It's just out of the box, put the connector, and then little mapping is required so that data can be transferred from Teamcenter to ERP and vice versa. And again, if you are aware of, recently Siemens as SAP has joined forces. So now SAP will not have their own PLM system. They will be working closely together with Siemens, and then they would see how they can improve further upon the integration which is already there in place between Siemens Teamcenter and SAP. So I'll walk you through certain activities which could be done using Teamcenter for Teamcenter SAP connector, so that you understand what all could be done using this existing connector. So when we say Teamcenter SAP, so the connector is called Teamcenter Gateway Solution. It can transfer data or it can sync data, and these are the example like change masters and material master and bill of material which can be synced. It can not only sync data, it can also be workflow based. That when workflow is happening inside Teamcenter, then SAP also is getting update as the workflow is progressing. And then comes the data federation part, wherein you need not bring SAP data to Teamcenter, but still you can get the information which is already available inside SAP. And then there will be a logging and monitoring whether our integration is working properly, or if any issue is there, it will identify. So these are all the business objects inside ERP and Teamcenter which can be synchronized between these two enterprise software using that gateway. And then it could be ad hoc, means whenever user want to do that sync, he can do it manually, or it could be event based, or we can have a properly data synchronized system in place where it is happening itself. And then, as I already told, if you want to see the data, SAP data using Teamcenter interface, so that also is possible.
So a quick question, if I may,
sure.
and if you're going to cover something, just tell me, just to wait, you're going to get into it. And so you're showing a lot of item revision information, product structure, there's operations and stuff. How much of the SAP master data is actually, I'd imagine not all master data can be put inside Teamcenter and then shifted to SAP, but what typically, is it just bill material type information that's really as a part of the transition? Is that really the focus then, I would think, of the information?
So Prabhat, let me,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll try and answer this.
Sure.
Okay, so Julian and team. So this is the question for that is not so easy. Let me put it in a different way. The challenge in the industry always has been, which is the master record? Okay, so this is not related to Teamcenter or SAP, it's related more to PLM and ERP. Okay, so going back to the basics of PLM and the basics of ERP, PLM is process oriented whereas ERP is transaction oriented. Okay, so if your bill of material, because bill of material is created by a product development process, you have a product development process which you digitize, and then you create your bill of material from there. So the debate wherever you go is about where should the bill of material master lie in it. Should it lie in PLM or ERP? Now with the Siemens and SAP agreement that they came to in July last year, it's very clear that the bill of material will lie in PLM. Okay, so if your bill of material is going to lie in PLM, then the master is PLM, and then you would send that bill of material to SAP for downstream activities. Okay, and similarly, the transactions. So if you're consuming material in your plant, right, that would be transacted using ERP or SAP. And then if you have some changes going on and if you want to do some effectivities on the PLM side, then you would tap into ERP, into SAP, identify how much quantity is left, and then you would decide the effectivity rules in your PLM system. So hope that explains the transaction between PLM and ERP in general.
Okay. Okay. Let's start with that. Okay, go ahead.
So this is how it can be integrated. Like this is one of the example, but it is quite flexible. We can decide based on the input which will come from Kimball. One example is we start a new CAD design, and the moment item business objects is created inside Teamcenter, it will either create this one material master number generation will happen, then it will sync with material master, and then it will also sync with change master. Then the way it will progress, like design, engineering bill of material is created, it will go and sync with engineering bill of material with ERP. Then manufacturing bill of material is created inside PLM, that also will go and sync with MBOM inside ERP. Then once we create manufacturing process planning inside PLM, then it will go and sync with the routing inside ERP. And then when production order is released inside ERP, that information can come and can be visualized from the Teamcenter PLM side. So this is one of the example, but we can configure the way we want, what event should be the trigger point to transfer the data from Teamcenter to ERP, or maybe from ERP to Teamcenter.
So back to the master data question I was asking. It almost sounds like today we do work inside of Teamcenter, then we do work inside of SAP. And we have an EC, we have an EC number inside Teamcenter. We have a different EC or an EC number inside of SAP. And then we load out templates to load master data. So we use spreadsheet to load templates, and then we can do mass loads into SAP for a lot of the material master data. And that's routings, bill of material, purchasing information, manufacturing information. We have VC, so are you suggesting that all of that procurement information, production information that's needed, like lot sizing and so forth, is all going to be could be stored inside of Teamcenter?
So how it is actually, their discretion which will come from your side, that this much information should be flowing from PLM to ERP, but there are certain information, like when you are releasing the production order for a particular plant, those information should be entered in ERP only, because those information you would not be knowing when you're working on the design side or PLM side. So those information would be given input inside ERP only, but the information which is available at the time of design or change or engineering BOM creation, those information you only key in the PLM, and it will flow to ERP. So that we can control how much information should be keyed in inside PLM and how much should be keyed in the ERP side, looking at the processes which are in place inside the organization.
Yeah, going forward, just to add to the points, going forward, loading or authoring of Teamcenter items and BOM has to happen within Teamcenter. And when they get released through ECR processes, then it will be pushed to SAP. You will not be uploading the bombs directly into SAP going forward.
Okay.
A single source of truth or the master data lies within Teamcenter. It has to go through the formal change process if it has to go to the SAP.
So probably if you will see my coming slides, you would be able to understand how we can enter the data and what location.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I'll show you what these are the different steps which I'll show you. Like first step is we want to just see the information which is available inside ERP, but from the Teamcenter itself, we want to see that information. So this is an option. Suppose I want to see the material master information for particular object. It will open the SAP interface and I can use then my own non-SAP commands to look at the information. That is option 1. Then second option is if I want to see the information within Teamcenter interface, I select the object inside Teamcenter and I'll have one SAP data tab available to me. And there I'll select respective like BOM usage type or plant number or maybe ECM number, which is actually coming from ERP, but those are available inside my Teamcenter interface. Similarly, if I'm working on certain bill of material, I'll select the bill of material. I'll have my SAP tab open and my information would be visible there itself in the same interface. So if I select single component, my SAP information, which is coming from ERP, would be visible within Teamcenter interface. Similarly, if you are using Active Workspace or maybe planning for using Active Workspace in future, so you locate that information and you will have ERP data tab or SAP tab available, and then you can see the SAP information within your Teamcenter interface. So this is nothing but information is just visible inside your Teamcenter. Second thing is when you are creating a new component or sub-assembly or any business object inside Teamcenter, how it will ensure that same thing is in sync with your ERP. So like you say, create new business object. The moment you create that business object, this number is coming from your ERP. It's not a Teamcenter number. This number will be based on the rule which is set inside your ERP. This number will be created and it will be reserved so that once this data sync with your ERP, that number is already not consumed by anyone else. So this will reserve the number inside SAP. That connector will ensure. Yes, later on, this will sync with your ERP, but number is still reserved. Now you want other information like this is the flexibility. Now the information which you are seeing on this page that we can control. Means there are certain information which will be available when we are starting a design of new component or assembly. That much information only we would be filling here. Rest other information which will be decided afterward when we are, let's say, releasing production order to shop floor or some other information like from which vendor we want to procure and all. So those information you can key in the ERP itself. From here, what information you want to flow from PLM to ERP that you can decide. And that much only we will configure for you. So this is quite configurable. That will be configured based on your input.
Is all material master information that
Yes.
we'll send it to SAP.
Suppose you are managing classification or library management inside Teamcenter and ERP both. So that also will be syncing together. That means if you are classifying here based on, let's say, certain parameters, so those also will sync when this data will be send to ERP. So there are certain options. You can manually send this to ERP, or maybe you can have workflow wherein within workflow one trigger is there when that workflow would be running at certain stage, which you will be telling us at what stage this data will be sent to ERP. Now, if you go to your ERP interface, or maybe you can here itself, you can see all the information which is coming from ERP. You go to your ERP interface, either using your normal way of doing it, or you can directly jump from here also. And then if you go there, and you will be able to see, okay, this information, Metal Master information has come from PLM to ERP. Similarly, as we were using classification there in Teamcenter, those classifications will sync with your SAP classification also if you are using both the places.
Yeah, we definitely are using material classification. So
yeah. Similarly, like you should have your change master, which should sync with your change management inside Teamcenter. And as you were saying, you have your change master numbering system separate in ERP and different in PLM. So here I'm giving an example where both are similar, but if you want to maintain separate change management number, still you want to keep track, that is possible. So here examples show that initially when you created the change inside Teamcenter, it has got change running number from Teamcenter. So it has got one running number or maybe any number which is configured like ECN 4 times 0, 1, 8. But when it will sync with ERP, then it will take the change number which is there inside your ERP as a change master number. So it will take number from there and it will overwrite here. So that is option one. But if you maintain both separate, that is also possible. But still you want to ensure that traceability is there and the sync is possible. So that is also we can do. So this is clear, the change management thing.
well, clear as mud right now, but yeah.
I guess one of the things I know, we are not using change management module in Teamcenter today. We have our own homegrown change management objects. There's ECO, ECN, ECR. You know, that might be an issue that we have to migrate up to the full change management module that you have, if that's required.
Okay, I got it. So you have your change object created and those you are using to ensure the ECR and ECO process. So that will actually assess whether those can be used as it is to sync with ERP. Otherwise, we'll suggest either some workaround or then we'll suggest accordingly.
Okay.
Now, if you have a homegrown change management system, and if you want to interact with SAP, then yeah, we have to bring in the change management into Teamcenter.
Yeah, it's within Teamcenter. It's just we created objects, those objects, and they're not part of the change management module, but they do work through workflows. So it behaves a lot like change management, but it's kind of a legacy.
Okay, but yeah, so the workflows what you are mentioning, is it in your homegrown or within Teamcenter?
Okay.
The question, the workflows, whatever you are mentioning.
Everything's in Teamcenter.
Okay.
The change
Then,
objects and the workflows.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So
then
yeah,
we can
correct.
do configuration. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, correct. Exactly. Thanks. Similarly, if you are modifying bill of material, and then that also should sync along with your change master values. So that will also happen. So suppose this is a bill of material and you are making certain modification here, you are adding or removing or changing the quantity. So once that is done, then you would sync this using workflow, let's say change management workflow. So it will go and sync. So here itself will have one trigger which will ensure it is syncing with SAP. And once you are done doing this, the same thing will be available inside your ERP along with respective chain number. So if you open that product, it will also give you the change master number, that this is the change which happened and this is against this change master number.
Is this the engineering BOM or the manufacturing BOM?
So actually this is the example of right now engineering bill of material, but it could be done for both. Then we can have, let's say, one engineering change management scenario and one manufacturing change management scenario.
And then when you originally author the object dependencies for variant configuration, is that done in Teamcenter and then transferred to ERP?
You are talking about variants.
Mm-hmm.
So again, for variants also two options are available. If you are maintaining variants in ERP also, so then you can configure such a way that variant in Teamcenter can sync with variants in ERP. And option two is you can just transfer the 100% bill of material from PLM to ERP. In that case, 150% is inside PLM only. That means variants are in PLM only, but you are sending unit BOM to ERP. So both options are possible. You can maintain variants both the places, or you can maintain variant at one place, but unit BOM at ERP level.
So what we do is we don't create the actual manufacturing BOM until we get the order.
Yeah.
So are you telling me all orders have to run through Teamcenter to create the bill of material if it's dependent on these variants?
Yeah. So right now my understanding is you are not creating manufacturing bill of material inside PLM. Am I correct?
That's
Correct.
right.
So in that case, if you want to keep it that way only, then you would be syncing only engineering bill of material from Teamcenter to ERP, and then whatever you are doing right now for manufacturing bill of material, that activity would be you would be doing in ERP only. But second option could be if you want to maintain manufacturing bill of material inside PLM itself, then you will sync EBOM to EBOM and MBOM to M. So that is approach 2.
Yeah, so I don't know how deep you want to get into this today, but this is like a discussion around we really have a super BOM and we don't turn it into a manufacturing BOM until we get an order that says I want this, that, or that, and then I get the manufacturing BOM that tells me how to make it.
Yeah, so if you want to think that you want to maintain your manufacturing BOM inside PLM and then you want to do manufacturing process planning inside PLM, then you need to think that way, that MBOM should sync from PLM to ERP and manufacturing process should sync to ERP routing. But right now, which you are not doing, so right now only EBOM will sync from PLM to ERP and then you can maintain your MBOM inside ERP as of now. But if you want to take advantage of manufacturing process planning inside Teamcenter, that could be a separate discussion between Prolim and your organization that we can discuss in detail.
Yeah, I would say it would be a stretch to say that we have all our engineering BOMs in Teamcenter today.
Yeah, so that is already there. That is sort of already there. Then when this integration will happen, that sync we can ensure. But there are certain benefits which comes when you are maintaining MBOM and bill of manufacturing process planning also inside PLM. Those certain benefits we can discuss, and then you can think of managing those also in PLM and then syncing with the ERP. So that also could be discussed, but that is up to you. It's how you want to go ahead. But right now you are maintaining MBOM inside ERP only.
One thing to keep in mind is since we make furniture, our product is highly configurable, and we don't always design to all the configurations. and especially the colors and you know, all the variations of it. So the E-bomb is the starting point, but the M-bomb is what gets produced.
Absolutely, absolutely. So right now, what you are saying, we can maintain that way of doing only. That means E-bomb would be syncing from your PLM to ERP, and then rest of the variants management you can configure using your ERP interface. So that is quite possible with your current practice. So is that okay? Yep,
yeah,
please.
I'm a little confused.
Yeah.
We don't actually author data inside a SAP on a large scale. We do it inside of spreadsheets that gets passed around the organization through the ECO process. And then now after all the functional areas populate that spreadsheet, then it's batch loaded into SAP, and that's just kind of how we deployed SAP initially to control the access points of where the data is actually inputted. And how does that process actually feed into this, where it looks like Teamcenter is talking directly to SAP and vice versa?
Yeah, so your spreadsheets gets authored by which system? Does SAP create the spreadsheet?
No, but it's a manually authored spreadsheet that is passed through EC workflow inside of Teamcenter. So Teamcenter manages the actual data set document, which is an Excel spreadsheet, and then that data gets put in manually using data folks, and then after that gets authored, then there's a select group of people that act as gatekeepers that push that information out of the spreadsheet into SAP using various tools.
Yeah, so potentially we can remove that spreadsheet that's acting as the mediator between PLM
Yep.
and ERP.
Yeah, as I said before, that directly loading of those bombs into SAP, we should avoid going forward. You author in Teamcenter, you create everything in Teamcenter and push it to SAP. So, I mean, if you have a super bomb and you're deriving the 100% bomb out of it, derive it and send it through ECR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if you want to generate M-bomb, again, you have to process it through MCN to send it to SAP. That direct loading going forward, once we establish the process, we should avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Authoring has to happen in Teamcenter for both bombs.
And then legacy data that exists in SAP today that you would traditionally use as a starting point for a new product variant, or for they're similar products, but you can extract that information out of SAP as a starting point versus starting a new M-bomb in Teamcenter.
Yeah, so that is legacy data. If you have it in SAP, you want to bring it into Teamcenter, it will be a migration.
Yeah.
But you could extract that M-bomb out of SAP with variants and bring it into Teamcenter?
Yes, I mean, that's all part of migration. If you want any legacy data, then you have to migrate it to the Teamcenter.
Yeah, shall I go ahead?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, similarly, if you are managing document inside PLM and you want those document also to sync with your ERP, that is also possible. Like you have added a PDF file or Word file inside PLM, and then you want to sync it with the DIR inside ERP, then that is quite possible. You just add the information, and then we will do the mapping such a way that when you are transferring business objects, that time those documents will also go and will sit to the respective location, appropriate location inside ERP. Okay, and once your change is completed, Then at both the location, your material master, your bill of material, your DIR, everything will be same, whether it is in PLM and ERP. That integration will ensure that. So this will be a trigger inside flow itself, which will ensure that uh, when you are closing your change, then the pending information should also be in sync between PLM and ERP. Okay, and then as I already told, you want to see the information which is already available inside SAP. Then you can see that information within Teamcenter, and obviously because it has got sync with ERP, you go to ERP interface. There also those information would be available, whether it is your documents or material master or change master or complete bill of material with the reference change information. So everything will be sync, and you can see either from PLM or ERP. So you can use any interface to look at the information. So any question on the integration part?
Not yet.
So this is on the technical front. This is the interface which is used to sync information between Teamcenter and SAP. So this is again totally technical. I would not like to get into much. So if you want to integrate with SAP, you can directly do using this connector. But suppose you have other enterprise system also, so just one additional add-on, and then you can connect with other enterprise system like MES, CRM, or other ERP as well. So that is quite possible. Same architect will be used, and just through mapping or just similar to JCO connector, we can integrate with other enterprise system as well.
Yeah, but any other standard, non-standard, like if it is SAP, we have out-of-the-box configuration with the mapping files. But if it is any other enterprise system, like MES or anything, we have to develop web services to transfer.
Yeah, true.
So that middle layer, that is little complex work. But for SAP, we have standard set of transformation files that only configuration is required.
Thanks, Sheila.
So the other enterprise systems, you mentioned MES CRM, but it could be a different ERP system entirely. It's
Yes,
just
true.
whatever system is out there.
Yeah.
Yes, true. So for SAP and Oracle EBS, direct out-of-the-box connector is available. For other enterprise ERP or other ERPs, as we had already told, we need to just create some web services and JDBC connection, and then we can sync with other enterprise systems.
Okay.
I mean, that is customization, as you see, ITK,
Yeah.
and then web services, and then push it to the other enterprise system.
Right.
For SAP and Oracle, we have standard out-of-the-box integration with configuration, using mapping templates.
At the start of your presentation, you showed
Mhm.
this integration with SA4HANA.
Yes.
Does it work with older versions of SAP?
So for that, actually, there is a compatibility matrix between Teamcenter and SAP. But that before S4HANA also, it is working. The SAP Business Suite also it will work. But we have to tell you your Teamcenter version will be able to integrate with which SAP version. But yes, it will work with old version also. The SAP Business Suite before S4HANA.
Yeah, Mike's asking because our current system is we're on ECC 6 Enhancement Pack 7 of SAP.
Yeah, yeah. So then it will integrate. Yes.
It will work. It will work. Yeah.
Generally, these are the things which could be done. Like we will have mapping template, which will ensure the mapping between Teamcenter and ERP. Material master, your plant specific information, classification, your procurement type, whether bought out or in-house manufacturing, Then if you have your manufacturing resource planning area also managed inside ERP, that also can sync with Teamcenter, your change master, your document info report, your all the bill of material and bill of processes, even schedule also and work breakdown structure also can sync. And then variance management also could sync between these two systems. So these are the different integrations or sync which are possible. So other than that, Teamcenter has got this active integration framework wherein it can talk to actually any enterprise system, whether it is ALM and MES and whatsoever. So other than ERP also, we can do the integration so that we have framework available. Only thing we have to do the configuration or maybe sometimes customization, but integration is quite possible. So you can ask any question if you have.
So what happens with the SAP PLM functionality?
Yeah. Means you are using already SAP PLM functionality?
No.
No, but it's there.
Yeah. So slowly actually SAP is phasing that out. So either they have to stay where they are or otherwise they have to move to Teamcenter PLM.
Yeah, SAP is sunsetting their PLM piece. They are still keeping it besides this integration. Their goal is to use Teamcenter as their storage and processing mechanism, like he's talked through here. Project SAP still has project or project management, and there was another piece. So Siemens actually is set to help resell some of those tools inside SAP. One would be project, and then there's another one too. But their core system, their core functionality for PLM is being sunsetted. They're not selling it anymore now. That they stopped reselling that or selling that as of January 1st of 2020. 2021. My fault.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
a couple of weeks ago.
So if we already have Teamcenter and Teamcenter licenses and stuff, does that automatically give us the SAP PLM portion of that, or is that? I know this bridge here, that T4S is additional, but do we automatically get that with SAP?
No.
No.
Which I guess we don't have the PLM module today, so it's no different.
No, within SAP, yeah, we do not own the PLM module today or the engine, either one.
So
I guess in the past, when we've looked at this, some of us have been keeping an eye on this T4S for a few years now and watching it migrate and improve and stuff. But in the early days, one of the biggest problems was, like I mentioned earlier, is furniture is highly configurable, and we use, it's more of a sales configurator type system, but in SAP, and then going back to the engineering side and trying to develop that kind of thing, it really wasn't there in the past. But I know there's been a lot of improvement around that area, but that would be something we would have to take a very close look at to make sure that it meets our, the requirements of what we're doing today.
Yeah, so there was a lot of improvements in Teamcenter, especially on the configurator side. So it's actually a lot more powerful now with some of the newer modules of Teamcenter.
Okay.
All the way from sales configuration to engineering configuration to manufacturing configuration, everything.
So all of the CAD data, PDF data, JT data, that's still all stored in Teamcenter, not in SAP, correct?
Correct.
yes, so some documents can flow from Teamcenter to SAP, but yes, CAD data and JT data will reside in PLM only.
Yeah, Mike, that's part of the PLM system within SAP that they're sunsetting, is all that. Because if you think back when to what Chris was talking about, we've taken a stab at this several times over the last 10 years. And one of the issues was that we would potentially have to migrate all of our Teamcenter data into SAP, and it would be stored inside of SAP, similar like it's being stored inside of Teamcenter. But the way this arrangement's been set up is that's what has been one of the pieces that's been sunsetted out of SAP. Hence why Teamcenter becomes the repository. And to their point earlier, kind of like the ownership of at least the engineering manufacturing bill of material, or the engineering bill of material.
So is all the data that we're going to continue to store in Teamcenter available in SAP?
Yes. That's what this transfer does, right? So as soon as you create the item and then push it to the SAP.
So if you're in SAP, you can pull up a JT file or a PDF file of data in Teamcenter?
No CAD data, CAD data transfers.
True.
But what about the PDF? I think what Mike's talking about is when we save, when we generate and release an engineering, basically check in an engineering drawing and say it's done, we create a PDF that gets stored inside Teamcenter. I think what Mike's asking is there functionality now that'll automatically, if somebody wants to look at that drawing, if you will, they'll actually pull up that PDF directly.
Yeah. So what the ask is to send the PDFs to the SAP. Is that correct?
I think it would be more that if you're in SAP and you want to view a drawing, do you have to have a PDF in SAP document info record, or can it make a call back through the interface to Teamcenter to display the PDF?
Yeah, from SAP to Teamcenter, there is no. Whatever resides in SAP, you can see it from Teamcenter.
So you would have to set up document info records in SAP and then have part of the release process.
Yes.
Copy that over.
Yes.
Yes, true.
Which today we don't have document info records in SAP anyway, but.
Yeah, we just capture the drawing number in Material Master, and then somebody uses Web Tools or the Teamcenter interface to actually retrieve that PDF.
Right.
Well, actually, they can be in SAP and click on a document number and pull it up.
Yeah, it's a hyperlink that uses the Web Tools. Yeah.
Right. It's going to Teamcenter to get it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we've only got like a couple minutes left of this meeting, so one of the things I think this was just to do today in my mind was to help start the conversation. I don't think I don't think we've probably seen enough to really kind of give it a thumbs up, thumbs down type of a thing. It's more or less just to start the conversation, start the flowing of concepts, what could it do, what's some of the challenges, and really we probably haven't even peeled that layer of the onion away, so to speak. All we see is the onion, and we know there's many layers deep, and there's a lot more detail than what you guys could show us in an hour, actually about 45 minutes. So let me ask you this, is there any way that we can actually get, I know SAP's got some of, you can actually log into some of their tools. You can actually see what the future of HANA looks like if you want to. It's in their sandbox environment. Is this set up in a sandbox environment where we can actually get some access to actually, so to speak, kick the tires of it to see what it does and so forth?
No, it doesn't work that way.
Figures.
Because every customer has their own, first of all, every customer has their own way of configuring SAP, and then a different way of configuring Teamcenter. And then the third layer below that is the integration, which is very, very specific to every customer. Unless we find a customer who's using SAP out of the box, Teamcenter out of the box, then it doesn't make sense to give. I mean, and we have never found a customer who uses everything out of the box.
I've always
Right.
encouraged all our people to do that, but it failed miserably.
Yeah, we have heard that everywhere.
I think they call it adding value. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or overhead.
Well, yeah, I know SAP has some systems. They've got a system area set up where it's just out of the box, and it's definitely not configured to what your company would look like. And that's what I was looking for. If you guys had a generic, plain vanilla system set up with obviously no, but we could talk about the integration back and forth. But if you don't have that, that's fine. That's what I was looking for. All right. So how do we want to proceed? I think it may warrant more detailed conversation on the data that's actually inside of Teamcenter and how it flows and what data can flow across as real life examples. I think what you had here was, obviously it was a video slide, but to actually see it work or kind of kick the tires a little bit through you guys, because I think for us to make a decision, we need to see a little more about the integration piece and how it works. That way we could formulate to see if it actually fits our environment, if there'd be some benefit to it. I mean, John, what's your thoughts?
You're on mute.
Yeah, he's on mute. He's probably cursing me because I threw him under the bus here and asked him his idea.
No, I was actually making a very good answer, but you didn't get a chance to hear about it. I think it is interesting, but I agree we need to look at it a little deeper before we can decide a path forward. There's just a whole lot to the configurability and how we're using that, and how we deal with that. It's going to be very important because it's a huge part of what we do. And that's always been the big discussion about who's the master, because there's a lot to deal with. If you want to be the master, you got to be able to handle that. And I'm sure there's more than what we saw. I think there's more than what we saw today to how you might do that in Teamcenter, but we really need to get a handle on it.
So
I mean,
you want us to set up an out of the box integration in your environment and show it, or what exactly you're looking for?
Yeah, specifically around, super bombs that have rules built in them that drive the configuration and how that might move from a Teamcenter environment into SAP.
Okay, so in your environment, right? You want us to set up that in your environment and show it to you?
Yeah, I don't know if it necessarily need to be in our environment, but I mean, we need to see how configuration works and how that would pass across. Because it's not static, it's very dynamic. It's not like we can put all this stuff in Teamcenter and build all these variants and build all the bombs ahead of time and then put them in SAP. It needs to be like passing the rules across so that when we get an order, it can build the manufacturing bomb.
Do the super bombs reside in the engineering world, John, or do they reside in the manufacturing world?
The engineering world.
Okay.
I mean, that's where the worlds get hazy, in my opinion, right? So you can probably make a case that's not really the engineering world, and because it's SAP has these variants too, and a variant in SAP usually means I use the real rule, the rules based, and I build this BOM out of a variant, and I store that as a variant. Well, we don't store any variants or very limited variants because of all the potential configurations we have.
In my mind, I think what happened or what could happen is that the super BOM is designed and laid out in Teamcenter, and it's passed over to when it's correct and everything's passed over through EC to SAP, and then it's executed in SAP, just like it's executed in SAP today. But just like a BOM is created and designed in Teamcenter, passed over to SAP. So this whole thing about which place is the master, sometimes it could be different for different components of the design. And
So in your mind, the super
that's the way
BOM,
I've thought it in the past.
in your mind, Chris, does the super BOM include the rules or the object dependencies, or is it just the materials list?
No, it's the rules with all the dependencies and the selection criteria and everything. And that's the part of Teamcenter that's been improved quite a bit. I don't know if it's good enough yet, but that's the part I think is the key.
Yeah, and
If
I think
it's
that's
good
what we want.
enough, then it can all be done in Teamcenter. And then,
that's what we're wanting to see, right? That's
exactly.
So do you have a test SAP system where we can transfer the data from our T4S interface, which you can expose it to us?
Well, we do have a test SAP system. We have a sandbox, and we have a test client and a development client, or I should say development client, quality client, of course, production. I'd have to work with our team to see if we would expose, let's say, the sandbox. That would keep things kind of safer.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, I mean, we can set up if you give your environment. If we have to do it from our Prolim domains, it will be a firewall and other issues, right? That's why I was asking. If you can give us a sandbox environment, we can set it up and show it to you.
And we do have a sandbox test system and development system within our confines.
Yeah. For SAP. Okay.
Okay. I have to jump to another meeting.
Yeah. But before we get to that, I'd like us to explore a little bit more what John and Chris was talking about, and then we can work it to that level, because I can't just spin up and have that ready in a day or two. The connectivity piece. So, okay, yeah, we're over time, 6 minutes over time to honor you guys' time. I can talk to Justin, and we can work out something, this next thing, if that works out for everybody.
Yeah, Julian, sorry, before we leave,
Sure.
could we also get some input from your side, or means when it comes to integration between Teamcenter and SAP? So what exactly on the high level you people are expecting that this should be the syncing thing, this should be the framework, and these are the information which would be flowing from Teamcenter to ERP. If you can give us that high level requirement also, so that will help us.
Okay. You mean a high level of what we would like to go from Teamcenter to SAP?
Yes, correct.
Wow. If we could wave a magic wand, I'd like for it all to transfer across and eliminate all the master data work, or at least reduce it, and beef up the engineering group. And I mean, yeah, yeah, we could. I can talk to John and Sam and Chris and these guys and Mike and Brian. We could probably come up with something that says, what would we like if we could do anything? What would it be? What would it be? And see if that fits.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Yep. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Brian. Thanks, Julian. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Justin, do you have a minute to stick around?
Yep.
Okay. I'll be short.
See y'all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Hey, Justin.
Yes.
So I tried calling you earlier today, and I know you was probably just swamped, just like we all are. But I want to spend a few minutes, not talk about this necessarily, but I'm really a little frustrated that we still don't have the licensing stuff worked out with even Mexico. Forget Asia, although that's getting a little frustrating too. And I realize your guys is the in between. It's really all Siemens, not you guys, but yet you are our conduit, if you will, into this. So we don't have the Mexican license file correct. We're still showing 64 and 3. We signed all those papers to be transferred. We don't have it. It's not getting done. And lo and behold, of course, the Asia stuff, which is out of your hands, that's all internal Siemens. But yeah, I'd really like you to express to them our dissatisfaction. It's taking this long to get this information, to get this done. This should have been done a while back. We've been, I think, very patient on letting Siemens work through their stuff. But this is, when did we start? It's almost 6 months, 7 months. I mean, this is.
I agree 100% with you. I am in contact with Siemens twice weekly, and I get this and I get that. I was told that the internal transfer was completed 2 weeks ago, and we're waiting for one final sign off, and someone was on vacation. I reach out weekly, so I understand your frustration, and I represent, Siemens in this too, so it makes me look bad too. But it's just frustrating all the way around.
Yeah, this is no reflection on Prolim necessarily, but
yes,
like I said,
it represents, it makes us look bad. It makes us look like we're dropping the ball, and I want you to know that it's nothing from our side, and it's, I don't know how else to put that.
No, I realize that we rely on Siemens. Ultimately, for both of these things, it's in Siemens' court. It really is, and I get that. You guys don't generate the license files, you don't generate the agreements and the signatures. I get that, and I'm not necessarily beating you guys up. I just want you to express our frustration. I'm expressing my frustration to you, not for you to take it and to hold it for Prolim, but for you to pass it on to those guys, because they really need to know this is even the Mexican would have been the simplest thing. We signed all those agreements a long time ago. That's probably the one that's probably the most frustrating, is because I've got people down in Mexico that are being somewhat held accountable. They're being held accountable for, and they're looking at me. And it's like, you know what? I can't do anything either. Just like you guys. You guys' hands are tied too. So anyway, I just wanted to share that real quick, and I realize you guys are doing your best you can, and you are following up, but they had the file, they had it wrong. They had the file and they had it wrong, and we had to put back the original. We went out and checked again the other day, and it's the license file we would generate is 64 and 3, and for the Mexican side, the U.S. side. So, and we know that's not right. I mean, should have been transferred. The one that we've got deployed now isn't right, because it's showing 6 and 64 or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Well, enough of that. You know where I'm standing.
Yes, I hear your frustration. I need to go higher at Siemens because I'm not getting the response and the direction of getting this done and taken care of. So I will work my magic again for the 12th time to try to get an answer out of it. I know Siemens has laid a lot of people off, and they give me these excuses, and that's not something you need or want to hear, but it just needs to be done and over with.
Well, yeah, and like I said, we're working in Asia. We're good. We're out of compliance, obviously, but they know it. They know we're trying to work on it. So I'm okay. Really, technically, we're okay, except we owe money to somebody, and I have this new CIO in place. That's now. Why do we have to pay this? Why is this still going on? It's like, oh God. So it's the Asia one that's really ruffles my feathers the most, because that should be the easiest one here. That there is no thing that's I'm aware of that's being pushed back within Siemens now. It's It's just generating the license file.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right.
And
we'll have
then
to,
this call today, I think, ultimately, I think a sandbox would be good, so we can, you can get your hands on it and test some things. But I think we need to dig a lot deeper before we get there. I kind of agree with your statement.
yeah.
So this was more just to kind of get things moving in that direction. I think that was a good starting point. But maybe if we could meet maybe weekly or every couple weeks and kind of work through those kinks and get things moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Because let me give you the ultimate picture. If this goes, if there is value here that John can see, then I will be asking for, then we'll have to work through what licensing costs would be, and then consulting, get a quote for consulting costs, so I could put it in for, I need that information by April. If we're going to move forward with, if this is something that John feels that has value, I've already got commitment from the others, from my side and up, that we would work to put this in our budget for next fiscal year, which isn't really that far off. I do want to get, this Teamcenter upgrade that we're working on behind us. I want to get us to Active Workspace in the next 6 months. Then that would leave the door open sometime in our first quarter, second quarter of next fiscal year to actually, again, if it has the value and we want to pursue it, then that's when we want to pursue it, sometime in that time period. At least that's the plan right now. So
What is your
we're
fiscal
looking,
year? When does your fiscal year start?
June 30th or July 1st is when our fiscal year starts. So
Okay.
we've got, a little less than 6 months left of this fiscal year.
Yeah.
And even with that, because I want these other things. I wouldn't even want to start this in the next 6 months, because we gotta get these other things done for us. I want to get us.
What's your timing for the upgrade from Siemens? What are they giving you for effort?
I got a call with them here this afternoon.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to have the upgrade done, and I've shared this with them too. Sort of end of February, middle of March as kind of the window to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to start Active Workspace after that. And then, I really don't, I'll do what my manager used to do to me, and I'd really be upset because I'm picking dates out of the air without any real facts. But I would, my manager still does that, by the way, and it irks me. And I know, because I'm doing it to my team to some extent at times, but I'd really want to be able to start Active Workspace after that, and by July 1st have Active Workspace in place. I mean,
Okay.
that's a timeline without anything to support that timeline below it, but it gives people ideas to the concept of ideas. I want to be able to start in March, and I want to get it done in June. I would think 3 months would be plenty, but you never know.
Yeah. I did not receive a missed call from you. Kind of weird.
Yeah, I called through my cell phone. It just rang and went to your voicemail right away.
So I'm on the border of I guess U.S. and Canada. So sometimes when I hit the roaming in Canada, I don't get a call for some reason. So you have an iPhone, don't you?
Yeah.
If you ever if you need something, try to hit the audio on it, because it'll go through my internet and it will always go through. It won't have any issues.
Okay. Hey, one last thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put something in chat. Where's my chat thingy? I was actually I try to send you you guys use Teams, right?
Yeah, I talked about this with my team. Yeah.
So
it has to be some kind. You have to add me in your system. It's a IT thing on your side to add me in your system.
Well, I've already checked. Did that today. We don't block you, because I put it's in the chat window. That's the message that comes through when I try to add you. We don't have anybody blocked on our side. We don't have any whitelisting. We've got ourselves wide open to receive messages from anybody who has a Teams account. And we proved that out. We set up just a generic Gmail and Yahoo. We went to some other places, so we're not blocking anybody. This seems to be on your side.
Hold on one second.
And that's fine. I was just trying to think of another way I could communicate versus trying to call or email, but well, on short, non-meaningful, a whole lot of meaningful information. But you can inside of Teams block where you aren't able to do this. But I'm able to communicate through Teams with people in Europe and other places for business, and you guys, I can't.
I'm gonna try to add you. Hold on.
Okay. You have to add my full address, so it's at join.ho@kimballlinternational.com. Use that.
Yep.
But that message basically says somebody's blocking the other person. So that's why I checked with our group, because actually I managed the whole Microsoft environment for a while, and I hit up our person that's now over it or taking over, and we had it wide open back then. Oh, and there's the chat. Yeah.
Did it go through?
You know what? Did not.
Okay.
But it shows. Take a screenshot. I have to talk to my peeps again, because it says guest, which would be add to contacts. Externally, add.
So I added you here the first time, so that's why I'm trying this one. Yeah, weird.
Yeah, because I'm just checking.
It says it went through.
Yeah, it says it went through, and I don't have squad here. So when I do the same thing, let me put this window back over here. Let me share because are you guys, what version of Teams are you guys on? You probably wouldn't even know. Because we're on immediate updates.
So are we, yeah, consistent updates.
Oh, shut down. So when I go here and I put in, oh, I didn't have it saved. Let me go get your contact records. Well, actually, we'll just type it in. Come on. DERUE.
D is dog, E is Edward, R is Ryan, U is up, E is Edward.
Yep. Prolim. So it says search. See, ours is behaving differently, and that's what I get.
Yeah.
I'll have to talk because it. Oh wait. No. Oh, you know what? Tell you what. Let me do something else here. Hang on a second. Yeah, focus time. Let me change my focus time here. Send that message again. Teams will, if you have focus time turned on, it won't come through.
I just resent it.
So you're not getting anything back that says it's not receiving, but yet when I do it, I still get this. Let me yeah, because I mean I was just chatting with Carrie here. She's for SAP stuff, she's a contractor, but this is her Yansys ID right here at carriekane@yansys.com. So let me talk to Gina.
Okay, and then if you want to shoot me some times, maybe for next week or the following, we can meet again with the team. Okay. And we can revisit this because I want to keep this going.
Yeah, I think we need to make sure. I think on our side we need to kind of put together what's some things that we would like to transfer across. To me, I would like to replace our spreadsheet process. I mean, that is huge, by the way. That's what I was back to earlier. Does that include purchasing data, manufacturing data? And that's why I don't know. I can't really tell, but we'll find out. Okay. Yeah. I'll shoot you some time next week. Okay.
Thanks, Julian. And then I'll touch base with you on Monday, and I'm gonna beat some walls down and get some answers because it's frustrating, as you know, and it's making me look bad, even though you don't see it that way. But I wanna get this done.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Julian. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.